All right, 8th grade, you'll be happy to hear this chapter, a lot less intensive on the meticulous math, but there's still a lot of logic. Samples and surveys. What is 22% of 80? Hopefully you remember we move the decimal, make it 0.22, and we take that times the 80, and we get 17.6. Same thing here, 0.85 times 16, and you're going to get a number around 14. All right, percent of, so since we have the is here, we take 35 and divide it by 140, and then multiply by 100, and we get 25%. Percent of 200 is 8. We do the same thing here, divide by 200, divide by 200. You'll get a decimal, multiply by 100. 75% of what number is 66? All right. Now, how many 3-digit numbers can you form? All right. We're going to identify, analyze, and analyze sampling methods. There are 4 of them: random, systematic, convenience, and self-selected. We'll talk about what a population is and what a sample is. The population is the entire group being considered for a survey. A sample is a part of the population being surveyed. We do this to try to get estimates if we can't reach the whole group. Now, we have random sampling, systematic sampling, convenience sampling, and self-sampling. Now, random sampling. Each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. A member of the population is selected at random, and then others are selected by using a pattern. The most available members of the population are chosen. For your convenience one. Members of the population volunteer to respond. So, we've got these. This page in the book will be helpful. You'll need it a lot. The manager of a company wants to know how many employees have a laptop computer at home. Identify each type of sampling method. The manager randomly chooses names from a list of all employees. There's going to be your random sample. The manager surveys the first 50 employees as they arrive at the office. This would be a convenience sample because he got to his 50 right away and he's done. The manager places a stack of survey forms in the company cafeteria. This would be your self-serve because if they wanted to, they could fill them out. Again, let's go over some more. You want to know how often students in the high school take tests. Identify each type of sampling method. You survey the 50 first students as they arrive. We again have our convenience sample. You place a stack of survey forms in the student library. You again have your self-serve or self-selected. And you randomly choose 40. You have your systematic sample. Hold it randomly. But look at the extra details. You randomly choose 40 names from a list of all the students, and then every 5th name after that. Randomly, and then a system. So a combination of randomly and a system is a systematic sampling. Random samples and systematic samples are more likely to be representative of a population. They're the better choice because you're likely to get the entire population represented in a smaller group. All right, the convenience samples are self-selected. Convenience, you're just taking the people that are available. You may not get a full sample size. Self-selected, usually you only hear from the people that think it's really good or the people that think it's really bad. All right, we'll look at these. Determine which sampling method will better represent the entire population. Keith surveys only the students that he knows personally. Amanda surveys every 20th student on the school's enrollment. This one would be less biased because there's no extra thing in here. So she's probably going to have a more representative one, is Amanda. Okay? Now, determine which sampling method will better represent the entire population. Justify your answer. Ferdinand surveys every other swimmer on the team. 72% practice early. Anne-Marie questions the swimmers who are in her biology class. Ferdinand's is better, random. Anne-Marie's is probably a convenience one. 39% of all U.S. households have house plants. Lee surveys a random sample of households from 2 towns in a state. Compare the samples with the national percent. Town A, 84 out of 116. Town B, 112, 88 without plants. So now we got to crunch the numbers and do the math. For each sample, find the percent of the households that have houseplants. All right? We do that. All right. We do that. And we get 56% for 1. So the percent of households with a houseplant in town A is 42, is closer to the national percentage. The percent of the households in town B, 56, is greater than the national percentage. All right. About 22% of all U.S. households have pet fish. Ryland surveys a random sample of households from 2 towns in his state. Compare the samples. 25 with pet fish, 75 without. 55 and 45. These numbers are nice because when you put the with versus the total and you put the without versus the total, you get your percents very easily. And we can see that town A, again, has one more like the national average. What I want to remind you, the desired over the total is the key to check those percentages. Thank you, 8th grade. See you later.